Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third annual Teaching and Learning Innovation and STEAM Day. I'm Darren Ural, Professor in Practice in the Civil, Architectural, and Environmental Engineering Department, and also the Associate Dean of Student Affairs of the College of Engineering. I've had the good fortune of coordinating our College Active Learning Initiative for the past few years, and it has really been a pleasure to witness our collective efforts grow into a culture of excellence in teaching and learning. Today, we will hear from students, faculty, our dean, our provost, and our distinguished speaker, Dr. Mo Jamshidi, who will be introduced by our former interim dean, Daniel Berg. We really have a fantastic program lined up for you. Please join me in welcoming our new dean, Pratim Biswas, who will be opening our TALIS Day event. Dean Biswas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Darren, for those kind words. It's a great pleasure to be here, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our third annual TALIS Day event. As Dr. Ural mentioned, TALIS stands for Teaching and Learning Innovation in STEAM. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to recognize colleagues who are with us today and will be joining us, members of the College of Engineering Advisory Board, Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost Jeffrey Dirk, Dean of the Division of Continuing and International Education, Rebecca Fox, faculty, teaching assistants, students, alumni, parents, and friends of University of Miami. A very warm welcome to our TALIS Day keynote speaker, Dr. Mo Jamshidi, the Luther Brown Endowed Chair Professor and member of the University of Texas System Chancellor's Council from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Texas, San Antonio. Dr. Jamshidi will deliver our keynote lecture entitled The VIP Engineering Education Model for America's Ethnic Minorities. And this will be at 3 p.m. today. We look forward to hearing about this relevant and highly successful model for engineering education. This afternoon, we'll also hold a fireside chat with Provost Dirk, myself, and three outstanding student leaders, Student Government Liaison for Engineering, BME student David Oliver, Engineering Student Council President, ECE student Macy Lamb, and Engineering Graduate Student Council President, Civil Engineering PhD candidate Mohammad Ghiasian. We look forward to their insightful conversation about innovation in teaching and learning. I would also like to recognize the members of the TALIS Day Committee, Dr. Darren Ural, Associate Dean with the College of Engineering, Matthew Acevedo, Director of Academic Technologies, James Sobak, STEM Librarian, and Renee Evans, College of Engineering Senior Instructional Designer. A special thank you to Eileen Pereira, Dean's Office Manager, and Anisha Corey, Engineering Student Leader, who have tirelessly supported all the logistical preparations for today. I would also take this opportunity to mention to you that it's a very exciting time for engineering at the U in Miami, in our nation and the entire world. We have embarked on a bold set of strategic initiatives to address some of the challenging issues we face today, and as good engineers develop innovative solutions. At we will accomplish this by an integration of research and education. To innovate in education, we have created a Center for Teaching and Learning in Engineering, and innovations range from active learning to hands-on experiences to multidisciplinary teamwork and interactions with our outreach partners, such as in the community and in industry. To get a first-hand glimpse, I invite you to listen to our seniors who will present their capstone design projects later this semester on May 4th. STEM or STEAM education is important, and we are in preparation to launch a class on engineering and technology addressing and tackling global challenge problems to all our first-year students. Today, we celebrate innovative and effective teaching pedagogies. You will hear from faculty in engineering and arts and sciences who are true champions of innovation in the classroom. This year has been both a challenge and a great opportunity to try new ways of teaching and learning. Faculty and students have supported one another to find the best practices of how to create an inclusive and engaging learning environment. The lessons we have learned this year will assist us in shaping STEM education in the future. We look forward to an afternoon of engaged discussions with all of you. Thank you for attending the third TALIS Day. Let's begin our events now. Dr. Ural, please start us off.
Thank you, Dean Biswas. We're very excited about the new initiatives, and everyone will be hearing about the Center of Excellence for Teaching and Learning and Engineering very soon. So we have a lot to look forward to as a college. Thank you. Today we have 6 fantastic speakers lined up to discuss with you the effective and innovative ways they're teaching in their classrooms. I am going to give the floor to our senior instructional designer, Renee Evans, who will be moderating the 6 presentations. I also want to give a special thank you and a shout out to Matthew Perez, our College of Engineering communication expert, who has been putting together these fabulous backgrounds and flyers for our event. And he also put together a fantastic webpage. So thank you, Matthew. Renee, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Darren. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. As Darren mentioned, my name is Renee Evans, and I am the Senior Instructional Designer at the College of Engineering. And I am pleased to be moderating this session of faculty presentations for you today. As mentioned earlier, we have 6 really wonderful presentations from our faculty that will feature innovative programs and teaching methods that they have used in their classes. Each of our presenters, I would say, are definitely our champions of teaching and learning at the college, and they have really prepared some wonderful presentations for you. I've seen them, and they're all really, really great. So each presentation will be about 8 to 10 minutes long, including questions and comments. I'm going to ask that during each presentation that you make sure that you are muted, and you'll be able to ask questions at the end of each presentation. So at the end of the presentation, so at that time, you can unmute yourself if you have a question that you'd like to ask, or you can type your question in the chat. So without further ado, let's start with our faculty presentations. So first, we have Dr. Diana Arboleda and Dr. James Giancastro from the Department of Civil, Architectural, and Environmental Engineering. And their presentation is entitled Teaching Across Borders, Visualizing Vectors Through a Multiplayer AR Experience. Diana and James, would you like me to share my screen, or are you going to share your screen?
Thank you, Renee. I think, Diana, can you share yours?
I can, we're going to start with your presentation.
Okay, that's fine. Renee, you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. I can share my screen?
Yes.
I am sharing, and from the... And my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yes, a few head nods. Great, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining in. This will be obviously a very short presentation. I do want to leave some time left over at the end for questions. So the title of this is Distributed Forces in Engineering Mechanics, AR, XR Tools for Teaching. I'm sure many of you are familiar with AR and XR, augmented reality and then mixed reality. And this is a summary of of an app that we've developed, and we also have other apps currently under development that we're using in engineering mechanics. So a brief look at the agenda for the presentation. I'll talk a little bit about the course that this is going to be utilized in, a summary of the technical topic that we're looking at, which is distributed forces. The simplest example we could possibly do last summer, and then some of the big challenges that we've encountered. So the course is CAE 210. This is Mechanics of Solids 1. This course is the bread and butter of most engineering disciplines. Students in civil, architectural, environmental, mechanical, aerospace, and some of the biomedical disciplines are required to take this course. It's also known as statics, and it's generally considered to be a gateway course because if students do not pass it, they will not go on forward to higher level classes. Some students refer to it as a weed out class or a threshold class because the attrition rate is relatively high. Here at the University of Miami, our research has shown that our passing rate is about 70%. So 7 out of 10 will pass, 3 out of 10 will fail. There's been some reports in the literature of attrition rates as high as 50%. So 5 out of 10 will fail. So this is a huge course where we really want to make a big impact, because if students can get through this class, there's a good chance they can get through the rest of the curriculum. So it's very important for retention as well. The prerequisites are physics and calculus 1. Typically, every semester we have 3 sections of the course. The enrollment will range between 15 and 34 students. And based upon the past 5 years, I think the average enrollment has been about 28 students per section. This course really relies heavily on spatial visualization skills. They are extremely, extremely important. And here we have 3 pictures of some typical applications that students will encounter in the course. So in the far left corner, we see this mechanical lever, and this would be geared towards mechanical and aerospace engineers. And it's really important that students can understand how these forces are being applied and, in these 3 dimensions. The middle is a free body diagram of a truss, and this would be applicable in civil, architectural, environmental, mechanical, and aerospace as well. And then on the right, we have a force diagram of an individual holding a bag, showing some forces that are being exerted on the hand. This would be very applicable to biomedical engineering. But students are required to really understand all of these topics, regardless of what discipline they're in. So the topic that we're focusing on here are distributed forces. So if you remember, if you've taken physics, you remember back to your physics days, forces were represented by just a single arrow acting on a single point. So if you look in the top right corner there, we see a crate, it's sitting on an incline, and all of the forces are shown as acting on a single point. The weight, for example, is shown as one arrow going down. But engineers know that this is not true. It's not one arrow, it's actually distributed. The friction force on the bottom of the crate is not an arrow, it has to be distributed, as is the normal force N, and as is the applied force F. Students have a difficult time understanding this. And so the app is trying to basically allow students to visualize how the forces are really acting. So if you look at, we have 3 individuals sitting on a bench, and their weights are not represented as a single arrow. It's actually distributed. And this is what a distributed force is. We basically take the weight and then we distribute it over the contacting area. So the student learning outcome is to visualize and accurately model these force distributions. Students who make mistakes in this can actually lead to significant design errors. So you could actually have a structure or some sort of mechanism actually collapse and break if students decide to model the forces as just a single arrow. And that could be a very, very serious error. What we did is we developed an app that would basically calculate the support reactions for any type of structure where we can apply distributed loads to it. It was done in Magic Leap using Unity. We received amazing support from UMIT to develop the app here. So in the top left, we see we went for the simplest example possible, and that is a shelf, okay? So we found the shelf. This was in our the CAE department. We put some books on top. Here are the shelf supports, and so we want to model this this shelf here. So here's my colleague, Dr. Arbolita. She is hands-on with the Magic Leap. And all the parameters are entered, how much each stack of books weighs. We press a few buttons and it actually calculates the reactions on the shelf supports. It gives us all the dimensions. And this is what a student would be expected to do. So they'd be expected to determine all of these things, determine all the reactions. And the Magic Leap can actually do it all for us with just a click of a few buttons. Now, like I said, this is the simplest that we could possibly find. We've gone much larger. In fact, we have actually been working on the huge stairwell in the Shalala Student Center. If you've ever gone in there, you notice there's a huge set of stairs that go up. We've been successful in modeling this as well. It's a new part of this app, which is not ready for release yet, but we're currently working on that. After that, we're pretty sure this could be applied to bridges. We could have someone standing next to a bridge. You could have cars and trucks drive over it, and it would automatically be able to calculate the forces in the columns and the support beams. Big challenges we faced, I'm sure common to many of the challenges that everyone else has faced, and that is really coronavirus. To use Magic Leap or any other hands-on device, we need to have proper social distancing. We need to make sure that we have the headsets properly disinfected. So we've come up with a protocol that will ensure this. We have a disinfection device. We've developed a protocol that will do this, but unfortunately, we just have so few students in the classroom that we really can't get a good idea of how effective the app is. It's really not possible for the online students to engage with the app because it's a physical app where students actually need to be holding the device and actually looking through the headset. But we are hoping to resume this back in the fall if classes return back to normal. And the other big issue is, of course, external summative evaluation. We want an independent reviewer to come in and actually take a look at our app, take a look at some of the student results and tell us if it's working, great, and if it's not working, how we can possibly improve on this. This project was funded by the Office of the Provost, and we would like to thank the office for supporting this project. And my colleague and I would be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
If there's no questions, I'd like to add something actually that's kind of cool regarding the app that's presented versus the one that's currently under development. The one that's presented, the user of the headset has to tell the headset where the supports are and the area where the loads are and the approximate weight, and the app will automatically calculate everything else. For the current app, the Shalala stairs have been modeled, and the headset will automatically detect people walking on the steps and assign a weight depending on height mostly, and you'll be able to see the forces change as people walk up and down the stairs.
I have a little question. I don't know if
A
there's
little
time.
one?
Yeah, just one. So have you done this in class as part of a demonstration, or is it part of an assignment? Is it part of a group work? How have you incorporated this in class if you have done it already, full in class?
We haven't been able to do a full class because when it was ready to be deployed, we got sent home. But we've tried with a small group of students where they would come to the class, and it was a separate class because we couldn't do, because of space constraints, we couldn't do it with all the students in the class. So we kind of had a special session to go through that and to try to collect data.
Great. Well, hopefully next semester.
Yeah, before that, so the one I'm going to talk about right after this, we had tried in a larger scale when we were all in person. And that's when we were learning what was the best method to implement this, whether it was in the classroom as part of the lesson plan, or it was an external assignment or extra credit or a lab. So we kind of halted progress on learning that, but we've done a lot and we've learned a lot already. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
I have one question. Sorry, last minute question. How you will assess the effectivity of the method? So surveys or more quantitative?
We have three assessment methods planned. One is performance, basically to see if the students did better on that question on the test, the ones that had the experience versus the ones that didn't. The other one is...
You have control subjects and, okay.
Yes.
Without, okay, that's it.
Right.
Very biomedical.
Since we have so many sections, we really have close to 90 students per semester. So theoretically, we should be able to collect a lot of data, but that's when students come back. The other way is to do a questionnaire, basically to assess the students' perspective on, whether this app helped them to understand the concept better or not. And then the third one is to have an external evaluator interview the students about the experience and then determine if it was helpful or not.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, okay. My turn?
Yes, ma'am, it's all yours.
Okie dokie.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So in addition to viewing distributed forces, the first concept that we had really was to help students just visualize vectors. And so again, with the same course, high attrition rate, and this is a nationwide numbers. It's not just here. I think we do pretty good here because we have a couple of professors that are intensely dedicated to making this class better. So we wanted to take it a step further. We found a collaboration through the hemispheric, what's it called? The hemispheric, there's an office of hemispheric collaboration. And we found a university in Mexico, and they, we share the same frustrations teaching this class. So one of the innovations that the UMIT team came up with was to be able to use a shareable experience. So what we learned from the first time that we did this is that unless the professor can see what the student sees, it's hard to help them navigate the app. So what we could do now is that the people that are wearing the app are basically in the same virtual room, so we could see the same thing. And we took this further so that it's not just people in the same room, but people in another country altogether can see the same thing. And so we came up with this really cool way. So what you see, the structure on the top is a very common structure to analyze using the principles of statics. And then we built a model. And the model that we built exactly the same model here in Miami. This is ours, the one on the bottom. And they have the exact same model, same dimensions, same everything in Mexico. And so the idea is that the students at both locations would share the same physical model. Then they enter this multiplayer mode in which, while students in different countries can see the same physical model, one of the students can actually draw the forces on the model, and then they can have really an interactive discussion about what they're seeing and what they're learning. So here on the left is one of the sessions we had with the students, the model would be in the front of the room. And then on the left is what the students see in the model, which is a virtual visualization of the forces, the coordinates, and the reference coordinate system, which is what they would need to solve the problem. On the next slide, you see the actual model compared to the what you see through the headset. Unfortunately, when you record through the headset, it comes out darker, but when you actually have the headset on, you can see it very clearly. So the idea here is that not only for the students to be able to visualize the same thing, but to get a perspective that this is a global thing. It's a global classroom where you could discuss with students from any other country in the world. So the challenges, again, the protocol for sanitizing the headsets, the space restrictions, so I could only have up to 5 students in one room. And then the proof of concept to final version is an iterative process. So we're still finalizing some of the details. The coordination effort was great because basically the people in both countries or in both separate rooms have to initialize their headset exactly in the same position relative to the model. Otherwise, what one person sees and what the other person sees is going to be off. They have different schedules. We also were working with architecture and engineering students in Mexico versus only engineering students here. And again, the assessment has been an issue only because we haven't had enough students to assess, so we don't really have statistically significant results. And that's what I got. Any questions?
Okay, no questions or comments. Diana and James, why don't you post your email address in the chat? So if anyone thinks of any questions after the session, they will know how to reach you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, next, now we have Mr. Lakesh Ramamurthy from the Department of Electrical and Computing Engineering. And he will be presenting on sustainability-oriented learning and entrepreneurial solutions, or SOLS for short. So Lakesh, when you're ready, take it away.
Cool. Thank you, Renee. Just 1 second. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. So I'm here to talk about a new concept I was trying to do with my mobile computing course, SOLS. I just came up with the word, and it just like SOLS also connect humans to earth. It's like the mediating thing. So that's why I just keep this name. SOLS stands for Sustainability Oriented Learning and Entrepreneurial Solutions. So a little bit of the background of this whole idea, or why I pursued this. Can you see my screens well? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I did a word cloud exercise. I like to ask open-ended questions to my class. What do they do? So I did a word cloud for what are they most passionate about, what they would like to explore in life long term. A lot of students, they said help people, medicine, and technology, passionate, explore, world, sustainability. So that was a common denominator. So I was like, okay, students wants to help others and I want to help my students. So I want to do it through my course. So what everyone expects in a university educational experience. So students, they wanted to learn by doing. They want to have like, okay, I learned something really I want to do in life. Then for the teachers, like I want to make sure the students understand their concepts and they know how to implement them and when to implement them to solve a problem. From an industry perspective, either when I was in the industry or when I'm talking to my peers in the industry, they want students who not only did the school projects or class projects they wanted to do, did they build something? So any developer software engineering, they say, hey, what is your GitHub profile? I want to look at the code you've written, right? So that is the third one. And a lot of students are wanted to do entrepreneurship. So there's a huge interest in innovating in sustainable technologies. So investors want to invest in students who think the bigger picture, create scalable and futuristic solutions, right? So investors wants not just only money right now. Investors, they are more focused on long-term solutions, scalable solutions. So thinking about all these things, sustainability was a very common theme where everybody is interested in. We have so much of problems in sustainability. So in addition to creating scalable opportunities, solutions for sustainability, students also explore entrepreneurial opportunities. As we all know, Elon Musk, like he's number one in like technology, or either in SpaceX or Tesla. Again, Tesla, if you think about it, it's a sustainable solution for IC engines. So we are not only thinking about climate change technologies. It could be anything. Either it could be quality of education, or either it could be poverty alleviation. So we focus on any of these 17 goals. So I had a very small set of class students. So this is for ECE 579, special topics in computer engineering, mobile computing course. In mobile computing course, basically the students have to learn about how to design an app, how to convert a concept into a working app. What are the things they need to design? How is the user experiences should be? How scalable the app should be? So we used a platform called Flutter, which if you use a Flutter app, you can use it for both iOS and Android. So the whole course was learning about how do you develop a mobile app and how do you use it using this new framework called Flutter. So this is the course I used. So in this class, I had 8 students, and we developed 3 apps. One is Hugo. Hugo is a collaboration with one of the sustainability professors in Mexico. This app will calculate a green index, the emissions index, green index for every product we use. Either it could be graham crackers or toothpaste or anything, right? Any food items, it calculates the index we use. I have 2 students working on it now. And Uthrift is for the universities used goods marketplace. So usually if you go on before COVID times, we used to have Uthrift stalls in the farmers market. So they want to go online, they want to use mobile. So we were working with them. Then the third is Engineering Students Council app. This is for College of Engineering students. So a lot of students don't have, like we have a lot of facilities provided by the College of Engineering for students. Sometimes the students need tutoring help or HKN help. So we want to collate all those in one place for engineering students to have better accessibility to their educational needs. So these are the 3 apps we're working on. And these are like some screenshots of these apps. These apps we are closer to rollouts because we need to do a lot of testing and then we need to fine tune a lot of features. 3 or 4 months of the time is not very exhaustive enough to do a perfect app. So we are still working on it. The good thing about this course, this motive is students are still working on it. The course ended in fall 2020. So it ended in December, all got grades. They didn't leave the projects. They still wanted to work on it. The highlights are real users and requirements. We went out to students, the users, and asked them constant feedback, constant meetings. It's like a real life, how a team will develop an app. And then design thinking and usability. so even though the real user says something, but we also think it through. How can we really expand it? How do we approach? For the Hugo app, the professor said like, oh, we just search for an item by searching. No, we were thinking like, we were proposing them, hey, what if we could scan the barcode, still it could give a Hugo index. So we brainstorm it, we use design thinking and usability and scalability of solutions. Tomorrow, when we want to scale it beyond United States, when we want to scale it beyond Florida, beyond United States, or if we want to launch it to other markets, how customizable it has to be. And then also the fourth is the entrepreneurial solutions, where how can we make it a sustainable app in terms of its own sustainability, which means how do we monetize it? How do we profit from it, or using this as a motive? These are the highlights we focused on. Challenges, course contents versus time, because the students are learning a completely new concept, mobile computing, and then the language what we use in Flutter is different. The students have never exposed to that language, that sort of object-oriented heavy language. And then the time was obviously very challenging because we weren't doing hybrid mode, and sometimes it got very difficult to actually demo or to have the meetings, to have closer brainstorming sessions. So we had to expand my availability almost like morning 8 to evening 8 or something, so that the students can message with me anytime, they can communicate with me. We do brainstorming. Sometimes the meetings went even beyond 10 p.m. in the evenings too. So those were some challenges. Even students, I was very happy that students had like voluntarily interested to put in those challenges. And coordination with other teams, since the stakeholders of these teams are in different time zones and they also have different commitments. Many of the meetings used to happen on Sundays. Every Youth Rift meeting happened on Sundays, and then the Hugo meetings used to happen in the evenings. So it was more like not only a specific time, it went beyond. Those were some challenges, but it's kind of when we entered into this in this pursuit, we kind of kept that expectation. Hey, we might be working sometimes long hours to get this thing done. So these are some testimonials. This is from Malcolm. He said that it's motivating for him, and then there are actual projects people could use. This is from Nick, another student doing ESE app. And this is from Macy. She's also part of ESE app, helping in community building on fostered abilities related to entrepreneurial conceptualization, planning, and implementation. My idea for this course is like, we want to make our students change agents. If they have an idea, they don't need to wait for somebody else to work on the idea. They want to work on it themselves. They want to be the change agents. That's the whole inspiration behind this methodology of teaching. That's it from my end. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, I'm here. Oops, sorry. Oh, somebody is typing. Thank you, Amanda.
Amanda, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions, comments?
The apps are not live now. We are working to get them live. So we have to wait through the security process for the engineering students app. Hopefully we will implement that. We want to use the single sign-on of so that's why these things are going on. As soon as they are live, you will get a notification for the College of Engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh. And also, could you put your email address in the chat just in case anyone wants to reach out to you after our session today, if they have any questions or,
Sure.
feedback.
Sure. Thank you.
Put that in the chat there. All right, thank you so much. Okay, for our next presentation, unfortunately, our presenter couldn't be with us, but he graciously agreed to record his presentation. So his presentation is going to be a video presentation, and he is going to be presenting on a science, technology, engineering, arts, and math initiative. It's called Joint Academic Nurtureship for Underrepresented Students. So he created the video for us, but his department chair, Dr. Fabrice Mons, is here, and he'll be able to answer any questions or respond to any comments that you may have. So I'm just going to
Good day, everyone. Welcome. I hope you're having a good TALIS day, and thank you, Renee, for having me. I'm sorry I can't join you live. I am in a NIH National Cancer Institute study section evaluating what strategies for collecting biospecimens for cancer patients are the best for managing that cancer patient. So I'm pre-recording this session, and I have the chair of my department, Dr. Fabrice Mons, who's graciously agreed to take questions after this recorded session ends, or your comments or any feedback you might have on the program that we have launched this semester. The program I want to talk about is called the Joint Academic Nurtureship for Underrepresented Students, the JANUS program. And this is a new initiative that is now funded to the tune of $100,000 from ULink, CTSI, and the Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. And the idea is really simple. We're using the bulk of the money to recruit 10 to 11 Black undergraduate students from all over campus, engineering, arts and sciences, biochemistry, molecular biology, neuroscience, psychology, what have you. And we're we've paired them up with respective research labs based on mutual shared interests, schedules, and whatnot between the student and the research mentor. And they're getting actually paid to do that research experience so that they don't have to choose between being in a lab full time or working on campus or off campus for a job that might help earn some money. As sort of a payback of that paid research internship program, they will be paired one-to-one with a Black high schooler student. And this Black high school student comes from one of two well-established programs with which we've aligned my JANUS program. And the two well-established programs are run by Dr. Keely Stewart in the School of Education, Human Health, Human Development, which is called Inspire You. And this is a mentorship program for Booker T. Washington High School, which is a primarily Black population serving public high school, very close to our Miller School campus. The other program is the First Star Academy run by Dr. Keely Stewart in Miami Law School, where she works with students who are in the Miami-Dade County foster care system, so real at-risk population. And she, through the First Star Academy, helps talk to them about college, about money management, about practical life skills. And through these two programs, we've also selected 11 high school students who will now be assigned who have now been assigned one of these undergraduates as a pair. So we formed pair for one-to-one mentorship, and they will start forming a relationship and start talking not just about college experiences, but also in general about the trajectory that their life can take. The third and the more innovative aspect of the program is involvement of arts, and the involvement of arts is through two modes. One are weekly half-hour wellness sessions. So these sessions have to do with meditation, yoga, de-stressing, breathing exercises, and both undergraduate and high school students of my program will be subjected to these wellness sessions. They're being run by Dr. Luntita Dutheli. And then we also have, through the English department, Dr. Lindsay Thomas, who has designed online digital humanities modules, which are conversations around critical race exploration. And over time, we will start exposing the undergraduate students, and if it makes sense, even the high school students to these digital humanities sessions. So, very simply, the program is a paid tiered research mentorship program, and it has its roots in what happened in this country over the summer with the brutal murder of George Floyd and the killing of Breonna Taylor. And, this led to conversations even before the ULink proposal between faculty members in biomedical engineering and with faculty members across College of Engineering to start doing things to create more social and racial parity within our college. And then once my program was funded, I was very lucky to start interacting very closely with one of the best student leaders we have in the college, Taylor Washington, who's the student president of National Society of Black Engineers. And through her help, I was able to really launch my program through attending NSBE meetings of Biomedical Engineering Society, meetings of Society for Women Engineers, the Black Caucus meeting. And, through the interface that she and I created, we ended up collecting interest from almost 40 Black undergraduate students from all over campus. And then I was stuck with the unfortunate job of selecting 11 out of those 40 or so applicants. And these applicants have majors all the way from biomedical engineering to neuroscience, psychology, architectural engineering, kinesiology, and athletic training. And so they all have now been, since the start of the spring, have been put in intimate contact with the research PI. Some of them have launched their own research projects within these labs as well, and they're clocking in the hours and getting paid for that experience. So I'll skip through through sort of the profiles of these undergraduate students. The more consequential, the more impactful aspect of our program is the high school outreach. And as I said, each of these undergraduates have also now been paired up with a high school student who either comes from the Inspire You program from Booker T. Washington High School or from the First Star Academy, which is the foster care, Miami-Dade County foster care program. And so we are very excited. We're doing mentor training next Saturday for these undergraduate students to make sure that they understand what kind of interactions they can have with the high school students and how best to engage them and spark their interest in science. But just to back up a bit, I just wanted to say, what is it that we really want to achieve out of this program? So, of course, we've built in assessments into each aspect of the program, and we will do those assessments. But I really hope that the immersive research experience for undergraduates does lead to better scholastic outcomes in learning, because by doing things in the lab and at the bench, you really understand the subject matter more. Picking up those technical skills will also come with picking up soft skills like working in teams, problem solving, communication, oral and written communication skills that leads to better professional outcomes. And I think their own experience in mentoring high schoolers will help build their own introspection and perspective about their own life, their journey, and then perhaps even build confidence in their own abilities. From the high schooler side, it's all about exposure and access. That's it, right? We want these students to have exposure to these Black undergraduate students and access to our research labs so that, college experiences, STEM careers are completely demystified. High school mentees find a name, a face, a voice, and an experience that they can associate with. And that sparks their love for discovery and research in sciences and hands-on learning. For the institution, for we really hope that this program contributes towards actually building a culture of belonging for Black scholars and extends UM's impact, not just at but beyond its walls. And then over time, I really hope that the university sees the value in sustaining the model of this paid internship. I really hope it doesn't die off, just because events of the summer will be forgotten. And I want, of course, we're working towards sustaining it through extramural dollars, but I really hope the university, either at the provost level or at the dean level, sees that there isn't any funding mechanism for undergraduates who want to stay on and perhaps work a whole summer in a research lab. And we start some kind of a support for that through institutional dollars. And with that, I'll hand over to Dr. Fabrice Wans to take your comments and questions, and I will say goodbye and thank you for your interest and wish you a good rest of the TALIS day. Thanks.
Any questions from anyone?
I have a question, Fabrice. I think this is a really exciting program. And have you thought about how it can be sustained? This is something that we should really embrace. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's the point that Ashu was trying to make at the end. So first I have to say that when Ashu said I'll be able to answer any questions, he was kind of exaggerating, but I think the plan is really to submit a grant application either through NIH or through NSF to support the program, beyond the ULING funding. And it could also potentially be supported, through ARUs and other, as part of career awards, potentially training grants. So I think that's the original plan. But I think Ashu was saying that it would really be great if we could have a more formal mechanism also for students maybe to get support, for research experiences that prevent them from having, that really give them the opportunity to, instead of having to look for jobs on campus, to get the support to do research experiences instead.
So Fabrice, I'll add, and Darren, with your permission, I'll add to this. I think Ashu also pointed to the dean's office at the college level. We are indeed starting a summer internship program. This year, we were trying to focus on leading engineering schools internationally. And I think the overall goal is to create a comprehensive summer program, and this clearly fits the bill. These are our own students addressing URMs and so forth, a tremendous program. So I will reach out to Ashu and make sure that we at least provide support for a few of these students to be part of the cohort going on forward. And Vincent Omachunu and David Poole will be coordinating this, so we'll make sure there's some support available. And then, as you said, every NSF grant, I don't know if the investigators know, you could just write to your program manager, and it is pretty automatic that they provide additional money to support undergraduate researchers. And if they are minority and promoting diversity, then it's sort of just a given that it will be supported. So we should pool these resources and promote these programs. Yeah.
Thank you, Dean. We also have a comment from Miriam Lipsky, Dr. Miriam Lipsky. She's saying, I appreciate you explicitly discussing the culture of belonging as part of this project. Thank you, Miriam, for that comment. Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, so our next presenter is Dr. Danielle Wang, or friend and colleague from the College of Arts and Sciences, and he teaches in the biology department, and his presentation will be on learning genetics through dialogue and discussion. So Dr. Wang, when you're ready, take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, fellow engineering professors. As Renee introduced, my name is Yunqiu Wang, and Daniel is my English name, and I work at the Department of Biology, College of Arts and Sciences. So I'm honored to be invited once again to share my experiences in teaching with fellow engineering professors. And probably this is my second time to have this opportunity to share my teaching experiences with you. So thank you, Darren, and thank you, Renee, for organizing this wonderful platform for our faculty to share and shine on the experiences and knowledge we learned from teaching. So today, I'm going to share my experiences on helping students to learn genetics through dialogue and discussion in the virtual classroom. So which is very fitting, right? Many classes nowadays nationwide are taught online via virtual classrooms. So how we conduct dialogue and discussion in the online environment. So here I want to share with you the focus on teaching. I'm sure we all agree that there are key issues can be shared among all educators in a learning community. What student should be in the subject. And oh, can you all see me? Are you?
Yes.
Yeah, the computer is keep telling me where. Oh.
No.
Yes. Oh no.
You're back.
Okay, you're back. We can see you now.
Can you see me now?
Share your screen again.
Okay, I apologize. Technology. We are talking about technology, not technology giving me trouble. Okay, are we back?
Yes, I can see. We can see.
So you can see my slides on key issues in the teaching and learning community. Yes, okay. So there are 3 issues we all care about. First one is what we teach, what our students should be learning in the subject, be it a biology or engineering. Second, how we teach. Like recently, across the nation, many educators are focusing on to explore new teaching techniques to support students in a more effectively learning, to achieve the better learning. So this has been a growing trend among our educators. But there's a third item we tend to neglect, which is to whom we're teaching. What do we know about our students? The nature of our students, their prior knowledge, experiences, their attitude, their motivation, and their confidence, and how they participate in the learning environment. So these are very important too. So today I'm going to emphasize and demonstrate how our students learn and how we help them. So here are the learning through dialogue and discussion comes in. Researchers have pointed out that practicing talking about biology is an essential part of learning about biology. I am confident my fellow engineering professors can share the same thing. If our students can practice talking about civil engineering, mechanical engineering, that will be a much better way for them to become confident and competent in learning it. Because I always tell my students, hey, how difficult it is to learn genetic drift. Genetic drift is abstract, but after you learn the concept, try to explain genetic drift to your sisters. Try to explain genetic drift to your roommate. If you can make your roommate, who may be an art major, who may be a language major, if they're interested, then you've done a good job. Then you will do well in the exam. So practicing talking, students can discuss the content, reflect on that, and question about it, and making comment, cite evidence in the argument, or even have doubt, so that they can agree and disagree. Such components will be part of their practicing talking part. If they can do that, then they will have a capability to navigate the complex and uncertain process of learning and discovery. So this is something we want to emphasize, and we should emphasize about learning, about how students to learn. So this is the learning through dialogue and discussion. So ultimately, we want to promote knowledge construction so that students will develop higher order thinking. Again, higher order, what is that? What is higher order thinking? So if we are in education, we all know about the objectives of teaching taxonomy. That they have 6 goals of learning. And the evaluation and analysis are one of those higher order thinkings. We also need to help students to develop these collaborative learning skills. And on a more general level, to prepare our students for life as researchers and innovators. In your case, you want to prepare your students to become a lifelong engineers. Even they are not engineers, they may have the mind of engineering. That's our goal. So therefore, University Quality Enhancement Plan, QEP, established this goal to seek to promote discussion-based teaching and learning across the undergraduate curriculum. And that is why we have many professors participate in such teaching practice. And to achieve this discussion-based teaching, there are three technologies, three methodologies. The first one is called Harkness table. The second one is called flipped learning, and third is problem-based learning. And today I'm going to focusing on flipped learning. I want to show how flipped learning can promote discussion and dialogue in my class. And here are the essence of flipped learning. The flipped learning has two components. The first part is the exposure to content at home before they come to your class. Through videos, readings, and some exercise, problem-solving exercise, students somehow are motivated to study before they come to your class, to have the first exposure. And during the class, I call the students class time, they will participate in cognitively the learning activity, like to have the challenging tasks that require application, analysis, and synthesis. Those are the higher order thinking skill through this dialogue and discussion. We want to prepare students develop such skills. So here is the information about my class. I'm going to be quick. I know I have a limited number of time. So my class today is BIL 112, Human Hereditary Disease. This is a course title, 3 credit. I'm teaching it online using Zoom with this flipped classroom method based on this dialogue and discussion. And look at my students' composition. This is very different from you guys. I have 3 business majors, 3 psychology, 1 economics, and 1 full communication, 2 political science, 1 criminology. You can see 4 music majors, 1 microbiology, 1 graphic design. So I have a student background with very diverse interests and diverse background. As a professor, we need to know that. We need to know our students' prior experiences and their interests. And I also have an age difference. I have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, all cross-board. So those are the important attributes. And after all, I have to do my own objectives. My objective is to help students develop the understanding of DNA, gene function, genome inheritance, and more importantly, to apply this understanding to real-world issues with a focus on human hereditary diseases, so that they can develop better retention of course materials, social skills and values, and higher order thinking skills. Okay, so those are the objectives. But my students also have expectations before they come to take my class. So we did this survey. We find out students, so this is a screenshot of their feedback. They want to learn personal communication. They want to learn how to communicate well. They want to learn more about the subject. They want to get better at incorporating new strategies into study. This is from a student, okay? They want to improve and integrating ideas from other topics. They also want to accept critics, learn how to accept critics from classmates. Again, this is from our students, and we need to know that. So here is my sample. I want to share one class, how I conduct this dialogue and discussion base. So the first exposure, I have the video, and video with embedded quiz. That quiz comes with grade point, 3 points. These points will be counted towards their final grade. So I said, we motivate them to be prepared, to have the first exposure. I also have PowerPoint slides. I also have this video quiz. So they watch 6 minutes. So they watch the video, answer the question, be prepared. And they know they're going to earn some points. They have to submit it before the start of the class. And this is the class. So in my class, I have, as you can say, I have 20 students. Sometimes I have full attendance, sometimes I don't. But today I have good numbers, and these are the discussion. So I give up lecturing. I told my student the monologue because I want to hear from them, but I pose questions. I have questions, I go one after the other. As you can see, this yellow frame indicating that student is speaking. So every student will answer certain questions. Throughout my class, everybody talks, everybody offer comments. And they all have to solve problems. As you can see, they really thinking hard because every answer they provide will carry some value, will carry some weight into their final grade. And I also have these questions print out to them and divide them into different rooms. Everybody, when we use Zoom, you know, the break rooms. So I randomly assign my student into different rooms. Every room will have a question. They're going to spend 10 minutes to work on their problems. And students tell me they have easier time to talk to each other in a smaller crowd than a bigger class. So as you can see, this is my class time. I say a few words. I do say something. You know, after I'm a teacher, I say something and I send them out so they can discuss, and they are reporting. This is an image of their reporting. They all talk. As you can see, every frame indicating a student is speaking, sharing their answer, and other students are commenting and criticizing. And you can see we have students even use sign language to make their point because they want to express, because they want to make their point. So everybody, you can see they all have participated. And so you can see the explanation, you can see the seriousness of student participation. And at the end, I will have the student feedback. And some students show satisfaction. Some people say, oh, I want more discussion. So this is the conclusion, right? I can show you the dialogue and discussion meet students' expectation. They want it, we meet their expectation. And it's workable in the visual environment using Zoom. And they seem to be having fun. We make friends, to be honest. Students never talk to each other in the regular classroom, but now with the break room, suddenly two different students from two different majors can be in the same room and discuss things and learn from each other. And I expect a tangible and meaningful learning gains will be achieved by the end of the semester. That's all. Thank you for your time, my fellow engineering professors. And if you have questions, fire away. I'm ready. Even though I'm alone from art and science, I think we can take critiques and suggestions. All right, thank you. Any questions? I can send you my email address too.
Yes, please put that in the chat.
Yep.
Thank you, Daniel, for a great presentation. It also reminds our engineering faculty that we have the opportunity to take part in the QEP next year. We just sent out some information to all of you, so please do review. I think Daniel showed us a wonderful example of how he participated in that and how it has enhanced his science and biology class. So thank you, Daniel, for inspiring us.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. When you and I spoke about your presentation, as a former biology teacher, and genetics was my favorite topic to teach, I had all smiles when I was watching your presentation or reading it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes.
Okay, next we have Dr. Inez Pasalo, my friend, my colleague. And she is from the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, and her presentation is entitled "A Day at the Low Art Museum, Object-Based Learning in a Materials Science Course for Engineering." So Inez, whenever you're ready.
Yes, I am ready.
Take it away.
Here. Okay, I think we are we Can you see my screen? I don't think so, right?
No, not yet. Yep, now we can.
You can. Okay, so let me go back to the start of the presentation. So thank you. Thanks, Renee. So I'm Inés Basalo. I'm an assistant professor in practice with the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. I've been with the university for a little over 7 years. And I'm here today to talk to you about a project that I do in a material science course that I teach every spring semester. So I'm going to start with the object-based learning. For those of you who are not familiar with this, it's a student-centered learning approach that uses objects to facilitate learning. These objects can take many forms. They can be small, they can be large, they can be artworks, artifacts, even digital representations of objects. And the method typically involves having the students handle or work closely with the objects. So there are many benefits to this. Some of them is it fosters communication skills and teamwork. It encourages creative problem solving, and it also helps students build connections between the academic course and material culture. So if you have never been at the Low Art Museum, here's a picture of the museum. It's one of my favorite places on campus. It's a museum that has been around since 1950. It started somewhere else in a small room. That picture on the top is the current location that was finished in 1996. It has over 30,000 square feet of space, close to 20,000 objects that span 5,000 years of history. The picture in the bottom is the newest pavilion called the Myrna and Sheldon Pally Pavilion for Contemporary Glass and Studio Arts. It's really nice, very bright. And for me, I've always wanted to do a project here. So then I realized the material science course was a pretty good fit to it. So just to tell you a little bit about the course, it's a junior level course that is mandatory for students in mechanical engineering. A lot of our aerospace engineers take it as an elective in their senior year. And every year I get students from other departments, biomedical, civil, electrical. I've even had students from chemistry take this class as an elective. It's usually about 30 something students. It's been as large as 42 this semester. I only have 18. And the class always takes place in our first active learning classroom that started teaching there in 2017. Class has been partially flipped and it's largely project-based. So with the help of Renee, I came up with a project in which students have to visit the Low Art Museum. They have to observe and research an artifact, the material that it's made of. So you can see there the project objectives. I'm not going to read that. But at the end of the project, they had to write a report, give a presentation to all the other students in the class. And my favorite part was that they had to create a story-based audio guide. So here we can see some of the objects that students used. This was 2 years ago in the spring of 2019. We can see in the top left is a wine warmer from China, made out of bronze, about 1000 BC, so it's pretty old. Then on the right, we can see a tea caddy from Sumatra, somewhere in the 18th century. It's made of an unknown copper alloy. We have those surgical instruments in the top in the middle, made out of bronze from the Roman Empire. It's undated. We have on the lower left corner, a funerary band made out of gold, Greek one, from the 2nd century BC. And the last one is an iron key from Catalonia in Spain from the 15th century. So you can see the common topic there. All these artifacts are made out of metallic alloys. So metallic alloys is the topic that I teach in the class for about the last 3 to 4 weeks of every semester. So this was like a perfect fit for that part of the class. And students work in this project for about 3.5 weeks. A lot of the work was done in class and part of the work was done outside. So it included 5 phases. First phase was the research, and that included research about technological innovation and also about how the material was used at the time. In the second phase, they visited the museum, and that included creating a story, a short story that they had to imagine how the object was used at the time. I really encourage them to be creative and to have fun working on this. Then they researched the material. So this was the link to the topic they were learning about in class at the time. So that research included main uses for the material, if there was a modern counterpart for that object, what material that was made of. So a little bit of a connection from the contemporary times. Then the fourth phase, they had to create a 1 to 2 minute audio guide. That audio guide had to include that story. They had to start when they visited the museum, and also include the significance of the metallic alloy at the time that the artifact was made. So what I want to do, it's my presentation is very short, but I really would like for you to listen. This is about a 2-minute presentation. So you can see an example of what the students did 2 years ago. So it's another object, a gold coin. Oh, sorry. Let me see. And please let me know if you can actually hear.
The moment you stare at this golden coin, I'm sure you have 2 questions in your mind. What is it, and why is it built? The coin, Dobla del Alfonso de Aragon, was made between 1465 and 1483 in the Kingdom of Aragon, which is part of nowadays Spain. The coin is small, thin, and round. In the center of the coin, there is a valorous knight riding his horse with a sword in his right hand, and it looks like he's ready to fight. While in the circumference, a series of letters are carved into the coin. It is said that the Dobla was awarded to Sir Ferdinando Julio de Franco by King John II of Aragon in 1466 to recognize the knight's 20-year loyal service to his father, King Alfonso V. Sir Ferdinando, according to legends, was one of the finest swordsmen in the history of Spain. He rose to fame as he won the knight tournament held every 5 years, twice in a row. Later, he joined the royal army and helped King Alfonso V conquer the Kingdom of Naples. After his retirement, he was awarded a large piece of land in Naples. Receiving the coin, Sir Ferdinando treated it as a family treasure and decided to pass it generations by generations. However, in 1942, the coin was sold to a collector due to the turmoil in Italy caused by World War II. Although the coin was casted more than half a millennium ago, the glory never fades away as time passes because it was made of gold-copper alloy, where the excellent durability of gold is combined with the strength and hardness induced by the addition of copper. Because of this, people believe the value of golden coin will remain constant, and hence throughout history, gold has served as a major form of currency. Objects made of gold are often collected by individuals to demonstrate their wealth and power.
So I have another example, but I know we're a little short on time, so I'm going to skip on this one. I'm happy to share with you the presentation later if you want to hear this one. And then the last slide.
This is a copper alloy tea kettle set, believed to be from. This is a copper.
Let me see. Here it is. So the last slide that I have is just a self-reflection, right? So you can see some of my thoughts after this project was over 2 years ago, and we all truly enjoy getting out of the classroom. And I was really glad that this project gave the opportunity to some students to visit the museum for the first time. I enjoyed also listening to the stories in the audio guide. And it is, I mean, you see the creativity and the effort that they put in that audio guide. And I think seeing that creativity is not something that we see often when we teach engineering. So that was my favorite part of the project. Now, on the other end, the project was definitely a little bit too long. And some students didn't really care much about doing so much research on the historical context of the object. So I didn't do this project last year because we went remote, and it was one of those things had to, be left out. But this year, I'm going to do it the last 2 weeks of the semester, so it's going to be a much shorter project. There's a challenge added as I have some students remote and some students are on campus. But the LO has a really good digital engagement platform, so students will be able to see pictures and access information about the artifacts. So, it's not going to be the same experience, but the project will be equally accessible to everyone, and the project will have an individual component as well. So right now, I'm happy to take your questions.
I don't have a question. I just want to say it was really fun working on this.
No, thank you. Your help was huge here. So we're going to do it again soon.
I also don't have a question, but I wish I had worked with you on that. It sounds amazing and exciting.
It was fun. I mean, to be honest, just getting out of the classroom. I mean, we tend to limit ourselves, right? That the only way to teach is in the classroom. And, you know, these have just sparked a bunch of other ideas that one day I will have time to, you know, implement. But I'm happy to share with you examples of other students. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, please put your email in the chat if anyone wants to reach out to you if they have any questions after our presentation. Okay. Any other questions, comments, feedback? All right, so moving on to our final presentation for this session. And this is where I'm going to be switching hats from moderator to presenter. And presenting with me is Dr. Miriam Lipsky and Dr. Matthew Acevedo, two people who I enjoy working with very, very much. So Miriam is the director of the Student Affairs Assessment and Projects, and Matt is the director of Learning, Innovation, and Faculty Engagement, which I happen to be a part of as well. And so, Miriam, I believe you're going to share your screen. So whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Renee. Very excited to be here. And I was excited to hear Dr. Vassallo's presentation, and we picked the same color scheme for our PowerPoint, so everything is very thematically related. So let me go ahead and start the show. There we go. So we're going to be talking to you about the First Year Directions program, and I'll be giving some background and talking a bit about the goals, the history, and an overview of the content. Matt is going to speak about the survey results from the College of Engineering, and Renee served as an instructor in the program, and she's going to speak about that experience. So First Year Directions, to provide some background, several years ago, the provost formed a task force to address student retention, because retention's very, very important to the university, and it does factor in our US News and World Report rankings, but it's also important just because once we admit a student, we really want them to continue at the university and finish. So we hope that we've made a good match and found a good fit once they're admitted. And there were multiple initiatives and committees that were working on different aspects of student retention. One was this First Year Directions or First Year Experience course. This is a common program for undergrads at many institutions. It's an evidence-based practice. There's been a lot of research on these first year experience courses as a way to integrate students into the university or college, and they have been shown again through research to improve student retention. So in the fall of 2019, we had 2 schools and colleges kind of using 2 different models for the First Year Directions course. One was the School of Education and Human Development. The course was offered for 1 credit. It was offered in the evenings, and the other, and it was a faculty member with a graduate student. The other model was here in the College of Engineering, which I'm always so grateful to College of Engineering. You all are pedagogically on the cutting edge. So you had an instructor and an undergrad TA. So that was a separate model. It's 0 credit because of your accreditation issues and requirements and things like that. But same, the class meets once a week for 50 minutes. In the fall of 2020, we expanded. We now had 5 schools and colleges, plus we added sections for transfer students. There were 21 sections overall. We did a workshop at the end of the summer for instructors and TAs, so everyone would be on the same page in terms of the content. They can customize somewhat, you know, for their unique needs in their school or college, but the core we want to remain the same. And we also had weekly support meetings for anyone that was having issues in their classes or had questions about the materials or pedagogy or anything. That was just kind of a drop in, and it was optional. This spring, we added 6 sections in 3 schools and colleges that are having sessions for spring admits. So students who join in the spring. And I just want to note, you know, in particular, because I do a lot of work around culture belonging, this was a group that we were particularly concerned about, or that I should say that I'm particularly concerned about, because when you start in the spring and the majority of people start in the fall, I feel like there's a real risk for you to feel like you don't belong. And anecdotally, I have heard that sometimes from students. So we're really excited that we're offering this not only as a fall program, but as a spring program. And we're expanding again this coming fall, thanks to additional funding from the provost. So we're going to have 6 schools and colleges participating, plus more sections for transfer students, and there will be 50 sections overall. And as I said, again, College of Engineering has been all in with us, and we're very grateful. So to just give you a brief overview of the course, the modules that are included are what's listed here. We talk about health and wellness, Clifton Strengths, which I'll talk more about in a moment, academic success, information literacy, and library resources to help students, critical thinking, leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion, different academic opportunities, things like, you know, study abroad and research and other things that students can get involved in. We do 2 sessions on academic planning and advising, and Matt will talk about feedback, but I can say students have definitely found this to be extremely helpful. We talk about setting goals and achieving those goals and being engaged on campus. So as part of this course, students are required to go and engage with a new student organization. So we have over 305 student organizations. They need to find one and go to a meeting and do some, you know, thinking and reflecting about that. We want them to get involved in academic activities. So they need to find something in the College of Engineering related to their major and go to a meeting or a lecture or something. And then social activities, go to a concert, go to a football game, go, you know, to some sort of, you know, social event. And we want them to get out there and try these things and then write a little bit about their experience. So Clifton Strengths, for those of you who may not be familiar, is an assessment. It's a research-based assessment that we have all students do who are part of this program. And it measures kind of 34 talent themes. And this is an instrument that was put out by Don Clifton, who also founded the Gallup organization. So you've heard of Gallup polls, and we use Gallup for our engagement survey for faculty and staff a number of years ago. So this assessment gives students, you know, in 4 broad categories, their top 5 themes. So the categories are strategic thinking, relationship building, influencing and executing. Over 22 million people have completed the instrument. And the focus is really on, a lot of times students come in and they say, well, I'm not good at this. You know, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm not good at, you know, whatever it may be. And the Clifton Strengths is focused on strengths. So what students get out of this is kind of, these are the top 5 areas that are strengths for you. And then we encourage them to think about those strengths as they're looking at choices of extracurricular opportunities or research or careers, you know, and try to build upon those strengths as opposed to focusing on weaknesses and always trying to improve weaknesses. So if anyone's interested, I'll put my email in the chat at the end. If people are interested in getting more information about Clifton Strengths, I can send some additional information. So I'll turn it over to Renee now to talk about the instructor experience. And Renee, just tell me when to advance the slides.
Thanks, Miriam. Okay, so from my experience, I had a really great group of students, and I really enjoyed getting to know them and learning more about their interests and their challenges, etc. throughout the semester. Now, I had a very small class, which is not typical. I think most classes range from maybe 15 to 25, I think, Miriam. I'm not too sure of the numbers, but yeah, around that.
12 to 20, yeah.
12, yeah, to 20. So my class, we met Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Maybe that's why I had such a small group. But what was interesting about my students is that they had a story to tell about why they chose engineering. And each of them, all 5 of them, they knew why they were doing engineering. They knew that that's what they wanted to do and that's why they were there. So, for example, I had one student who chose biomedical engineering because he was an athlete in high school and suffered a serious injury. And so that got him interested in learning more about the body and how it works, which led him eventually to wanting to learn how to apply that biological knowledge and engineering principles to address medical needs. So that's just one example. In terms of my students, I had 3 male students and 2 female students. 2 of my students were undeclared. I had 1 industrial major, 1 computer engineering major, and 1 biomedical engineering major, as I mentioned. Again, the benefit of having such a small class is that it really allows for these types of conversations to occur. And as Miriam showed you, all the different topics that we addressed throughout this semester really facilitated some deep conversations. All right, next slide. Okay, in terms of projects or learning products that students had to produce at the end of the semester. So the first one, the big one, was the campus engagement presentation. So students would work in groups to create an interactive presentation about different experiences and opportunities available to them at So individually, each group member had to engage in 3 campus experiences during the course of the semester. So 1 student organization, one academic, and 1 scholarly or professional resource on campus. And 1 campus-based recreational activity. So example, like, the Low Museum, visiting the Low Museum. They also had to come up with a 4-year plan, which basically is a graduation plan. They basically mapped out each of the 4 years that they would spend with us at Then we asked them to write a letter to their future selves. So they had to write a letter to themselves attending their commencement ceremony 4 years from now. And for the handshake, they created a profile, uploaded their resume, identified any internship opportunities that they may be interested in. All right, next slide.
Handshake was the platform from Topple.
Topple, that's correct, yeah. Okay, so rewarding moments from teaching this in the fall semester. So for me, it was really just the little things. Whenever their interest was piqued, whether they were learning about the study abroad programs or like the 5-year degree program and the different research opportunities, that I really enjoyed seeing those little moments. At the end of the semester, I had asked them to, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would they rate the College of Engineering? And 4 out of 5 students, gave the college a 4 out of 5. And in fact, 1 student said that he would have given it 5 out of 5, which I think is amazing considering that we're dealing with COVID and a whole bunch of other issues that went along with that he would rank the college so highly. Another rewarding aspect was really reading the letters to their future selves. That's where their humor came out. I really got to see their growth mindset had been developed. And so that was really, really rewarding for me to read. Next slide, Miriam. Okay, well, for the challenging moments, COVID was a challenge for all of us. In terms of the Clifton Strengths, because that required a book purchase, I ended up having to push that back a week because time to purchase the book and things like that. And then I think it was, I'm trying to remember, I think it was 15 minutes a session, but that was really a short time. 15 minutes went by really fast. during our class time, because we could easily have spent way more time discussing each of the topics. So I would say those are some of the challenges that I faced teaching last semester. And the next slide. And so why should students take this course? So my colleague Gemma is on here with the call with us. When we were taught, and she was also an instructor in another section. And when we were talking about this class and why should students take the class, the topic of engineering identities came up. You know, it's important for students to see themselves as engineers and identify their strengths in engineering. And so what this class really allowed for that to happen is for them to create this identity in engineering, you know, being exposed to all the different learning and research opportunities and the different programs at the College of Engineering. They're able to create a future plan for themselves. And so in creating that plan equals retention. So those are the reasons why students should take this class. And next slide. All right, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Matt.
Thanks, Renee, and hi, everybody. So before I dive into these survey results, I want to talk about how and why we evaluate the first year directions course. So as Miriam said in the beginning, ultimately, this is an intervention designed to increase the university's retention rate across all the schools and colleges we're working with. So the ultimate evaluation, the ultimate indication that this is working or not will be if these students graduate from the University of Miami in 4 years. But since the first pilot round of first year directions took place last year, we don't know yet because they're still here. My understanding is that students who have taken first year directions are persisting at a greater rate than students who have not taken first year directions. So that's a good early indication. But we won't really know until it's time for these students to graduate. So that said, as we plan to scale so much, so starting from 2 sections last year to 50 sections next year, we want to make sure that we're doing this right. And we want to make sure that we're giving our students a good experience. So aside from the normal course evaluation that goes out to all students, we did a student experience survey to all of the first year directions students. University-wide, about 70 students took the survey, and in the College of Engineering, about 17 students took that. And this is sort of our big question, which is, which of these best describes your experience in first year directions, ranging from excellent to terrible? And the vast majority of our students said it was either excellent or good, with no one from the College of Engineering saying it was poor or terrible. So all of the results I'll show now are specific to the College of Engineering. Although I have the stats from all first year directions at the bottom, but I don't think anything was statistically different between the College of Engineering and the university more broadly. So yeah, based on this slide, we have a pretty good sense that students are really having a good time in the first year directions course and finding it valuable. Next slide, please, ma'am. So one of the goals for first year directions, and this is tied to the reason that students persist at is we want them to feel more connected to the University of Miami community. So here our results were a little mixed, and we suspect that this is partially related to students taking this class, a lot of them from home or learning during the pandemic. It's a tough time to feel connected to the university when we're learning in a pandemic, but we're still encouraged by the skew toward positive. So aside from the first chart, all the charts following will be the better result is on the bottom. Hence the smiley face and frowny face at the top and bottom of the scales. Next slide, Mary. So another goal for us in first year directions is to provide opportunities for students to collaborate and connect with one another. And again, we're trending toward the good side here. I'm gonna go pretty quickly through most of these because I know we're out of time. And as a favor to my colleague Renee, I'm gonna see if I can get through these as soon as possible. Next slide, Miriam. So this is a big one for us. We want our students to know where they can access opportunities on campus that are resources. So places like tutoring and language labs and that sort of places. And from that perspective, the College of Engineering students found that the first year directions course was very, very and extremely effective in finding resources on campus. So that's a good sign for us. The academic plan, this is the 4-year plan that both Miriam and Renee mentioned, where students map out their 4-year college plan. Again, pretty positive results here. Next slide. And we have 2 questions about Clifton Strengths. And there's a difference in the results from these questions, which is a good indication to us as developers of the course where we need to focus. So this question was, Clifton Strengths was useful for identifying my strengths. And most of the students agreed or strongly agreed, with some in the middle. So sort of mixed, but trending positive. But next slide. It was even more mixed when we think about using Clifton Strengths results and feedback in their future academic and professional endeavors. So this is an indication to us as the designers and developers of the course that we need to more closely integrate the Clifton Strengths throughout the rest of the curriculum instead of having just a single focus area. We tried to do that, but we realized we need to have more of an emphasis on that so that students see the value in continuing to draw on their strengths in their future endeavors. So I don't know if we mentioned it, but all of the first year directions courses have an undergraduate teaching assistant present in the course. It's someone from that major. So we had engineering students serving as CAs in the engineering sections, and students across the board, engineering and university-wide, found having a student voice in the room discussing their experiences as now an upperclassman student extremely valuable to their experience. And our sort of ultimate big question is, would I recommend first year directions to a friend? And results were pretty strong for us here. So most students strongly agreed that they would recommend this to a friend, which gives us a strong indication that it was a successful and positive experience for them. We also had some open-ended questions. I'm going to share some representative samples from across the university as well as a few of the specific engineering ones. So we had a student say the interactions between fellow engineering students outside the major was helpful. Meeting others in my major made me feel more welcome. And we know that when students feel more welcome and as though they belong at the university, they're more likely to persist. So this is important for us. All the information provided by people with experience in the university gives me perspective on how to approach future situations, the no judgment zone of the class and how everyone could share their feelings and that people would help them. Next slide. Again, the graduation plan, the most important aspect, that they'll be referring back to it for the next 3 years. And then a longer comment from someone in engineering. The most important aspect of my experience is learning about the different opportunities that are available as part of the College of Engineering. For example, talking to the advisors and learning about the planning process was beneficial. The presentation by Dr. Helena Sol-Gabriel was effective in learning about the research opportunities and how to get involved in their labs. So the College of Engineering students that engaged in the first year directions course really did get a lot out of it. I also combined all of our open-ended responses into a word cloud, which is my last slide right here. So we get sort of a good grasp from this that they learned something, that they got campus resources, they found opportunities, that they felt important and things like this. So we consider this a success, and we're looking forward to continuing to refine the first year directions course across the university and getting more engineering students involved. So I think that's it for us. That's our contact information. And all 3 of us are more than willing to take any questions or comments.
Thanks, Matt, for speeding through that. Very appreciate it.
You bet.
Any questions, comments, feedback? I have about a minute to spare.
Is this I have a quick question to Marianne. Is this a 1 credit course? Do they honor engineering, 1 credit engineering for the engineering student, or is a general elective for the university 1 credit?
So it depends on the school or college. In engineering, it's a 0 credit class, and that's somehow related to the accreditation for the students in the program. In most other schools and colleges, it's a 1 credit class, And the hours assigned are those of a 1 credit class. So it's 50 minutes, 50, meeting once per week.
Okay, thank you.
But the content is the same in engineering, even though they're getting 0 credits, it's still run as if it's like a 1 credit class.
Thank you. I do see some overlap between this class and the UMX course. We also offer a UMX course. How we distinguish this course from UMX and publicize to our students?
We've worked with Beth Baer, who runs the UMX course, very closely with this, so that we're either integrating with some of the UMX content throughout, or assuming that content in UMX is a prerequisite for certain modules of FYD. Matt, do you have anything else to add about that?
No, you said exactly what I would have said. Just that we've been very intentional about working with Beth Baer on making sure that we're complementing each other's efforts and not conflicting or overlapping.
Thank you.
Renee, I'd like to
Yes.
ask Miriam a question, if I may.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is a Clifton evaluation available to more than undergraduates? Can the graduate students, can our staff get to it? Can our faculty get to it?
Yes, absolutely. So the tool is available if you Google Clifton Strengths. So it's available through TOPL. I think there's a nominal charge. So for students, if students want to take it and they're not part of the first year directions, they're more senior, they're graduate students, they could go to TOPL, and it's available for a nominal charge. I want to say it's around $10 or something. So very affordable. And then they get a report and it gives their strengths and it explains all about those strengths. Anyone else? Matt, do you know, I think you could Google it and you can pay a fee, I think.
Yeah, anyone can actually take the Clifton Strengths assessment. I actually paid for my own copy of the test as we were early in the planning process, so I could get a feel for what students went through. So you can do that directly through the Clifton Strengths website, or if you buy the book and the book is available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever, it usually comes with a code that you can input into the website to take the test. So your graduate students could certainly do it.
Thanks.
All right, I'm getting the need to wrap up now message from everybody. Okay, so that concludes our faculty presentations. Thank you so much to everyone who presented. I'd like to invite you to now go into the next session, which is a fireside chat between the provost and the dean and the engineering student council leaders. I'm going to put the link here to access that in the chat. And yeah, so I'll see you over on the other side. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks again for taking time to spend with us. And, I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Renee. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
If you guys want to participate in the fire shot, you have to go where it says Zoom room 2 to the link that they posted there. Can anybody hear me? Hello?